Right, we're on.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lord Scott, and welcome to Lord Scott's Plots, being broadcast deep from the heart of our evil volcanic lair somewhere in the Pacific. I am joined tonight by three fine minions who are going to help me devise plots so wretched and so evil that even Rupert Murdoch himself would go, "Ooh, that's a bit much." On my right, I am joined by a veteran and fine plotter, Mr. Samuel Davies, who has helped us with many of our finest developments. On my right, I am joined by... Damn it, I got that wrong. We're going to have to cut that and edit that thing together. Keep recording. On my left, I am joined by Mr. Matthew Heslop, a slightly less competent plotter than Mr. Davies, but I'm sure he will provide us with some entertainingly futile plots. And directly in front of me is Mr. Paddy Pritchard, wearing a lovely little off-the-shoulder chiffon number. I'm not sure where he got it, but it is quite nice. Now, we are going to proceed with the first round. Our first round is called Whom Gods Destroy. This quote, of course, derived from a quote wrongly attributed to the playwright Euripides. Greece has produced some of the finest evil geniuses throughout the years, from Aristotle to Archbishop Makarios and Socrates to Prince Philip himself. In this round, each of our plotters have come up with a person who they would like to torment in some small way, the only proviso being that they must not die. Now, we're going to start with Mr. Davies. Who is it that you would like to torment?
The person I would like to torment is Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Now, for those of our listeners who are not familiar with hip-hop modern culture, perhaps you would like to briefly detail what on earth a Nicki Minaj is.
A Nicki Minaj is a creature that can't quite grasp the simple mechanics of English and, puts it into music.
Much like the youth of today. Right, well, why don't you detail your plot to drive this Minaj creature round the twist?
The simplest way to drive the Minaj creature around the twist would be to create a small virus to infect computers and eliminate the programming that allows auto-tuning, replacing it with a button that would take us straight to a website to give her free English lessons.
I like this plan, and it would make her speak better, which is even better. Now, my other minions, have you any thoughts on this particular plan? I like it myself, but what do you think?
So, Nicki Minaj, okay, is she going to have something accessible to the internet at this point to sort of be, to be able to access this website? Or is she actually going to be pulled into the internet itself and stranded in kind of an internet island of good grammar? Of good grammar.
Well, the latter would be preferable, but that would get rid of her altogether. But I believe with the technology available to us, it would just be easier to put a internet-based website up.
And with the advent of your 3Gs, you can access the internet almost anywhere, can you not, these days?
With hotspots.
Most awfully good. Oh, and hotspot. I do like a good hotspot. There's usually good ones on everybody. Right, now... Mr. Heslop, do you have any comments on this particular deluge of disgusting depravity?
Yes, actually. Would this computer virus affect all of them, or just when Nicki Minaj is trying to use it herself? Because, for example, what if someone who actually can use good grammar wants to sing and wants to use an auto-tune, but then finds themselves on good English websites?
I would point out that this is a very valid point. I am, in fact, myself Spanish, and it's only auto-tune that allows me to sound like this.
My argument to that being anyone using auto-tune is probably of the disposition that they need English lessons, just from my experience.
And you're saying that in front of our Lord and Master.
Our Lord and Master is the exception on the basis that he has a gun pointed at me.
See, I think you have problem. I help. Oh, I think your plot already helped. It already worked. Right, we must now head on to our next person. The next person to provide us with a plot is going to be Mr. Paddy Pritchard, who is going to tell us which particular personage he would like to make mad.
So this week I think I'm thinking Davina McCall needs
Davina McCall. Now, Davina McCall, is she not, is the presenter of such fine programs as Little Brother, Medium-Sized Brother, and Gigantic Brother. Perhaps you would like to elucidate further on her work and why, in particular, it is her that you bear this simmering vitriol for.
Oh, she's just really painful. I mean, watching an interview with her is just awful. It's just really simple questions like, have you got nice shoes? Yes, Davina. Oh, I like them. They're shiny. Just ask a decent question. I mean, she's just, compared to other interviewers, no, she just needs to go away. And you know what? I think this is a priority for evil people because, we're busy in our time coming up with plans for, world domination and stuff. You flick on the telly, you're having a bit of downtime. Oh, and you've got to look at her stupid face. So, that's where I'm coming from with this.
Right, so we know where Mr. Pritchard is coming from on this. It's rather a pity, as it has just scotched half of the programme when I was going to inquire after all of your shoes. But I'm sure we can all have comments on it. Who would like to start? I'm sure we have insight on this from somebody.
What is your actual plan to drive her insane?
Yes, we have not heard this, yes.
Right, well, my plan to drive her insane is to actually lock her in the Big Brother house. Not on her own, but with Michael Parkinson, quality interview hosting, evildoers all over the place. They just love Michael Parkinson. He's venerated as the evil-doing interviewer of choice. So, lock her in there, but he's not going to interview her, no. He's just going to poke her with a stick until she gets better, because there's one thing that I know from my evil research of Davina McCall, and that is she does not like being poked with a stick.
Indeed it is. It is found to be true. The evil internet we have here does indeed show that she does not like being poked with sticks. We have files on every single person on the planet. And my God, there are a lot of people. My God, there are almost 7 billion. That's a lot of people, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot of them don't like being poked with sticks. And those that do are just a bit odd. But anyway, so we've heard Mr. Pritchard's plan. Do you have any comment, Mr. Heslop, perhaps, on the implementation of this plan? I mean, it does require us gaining control of this Big Brother house, which in itself is not necessarily a desirable thing.
Well, my main query regarding it is, how is Michael Parkinson going to feel about all this? Does he enjoy poking people with sticks? Is it something he enjoys doing, or are we just punishing him as well?
A little known fact, Michael Parkinson was actually the inventor of the stick poke, and also the stick poke interview improvement technique. So, we're going to the main guy here. I think we can afford it. We've got it in the evil budget. Okay, we can get Michael Parkinson in, and he can, sort her out. I think I've made this quite clear. Parky, pretty evil.
Indeed, I believe we can find space in our budget. I think this is a desirable thing. Having seen some of both of their work, I have to say they are both delightfully, well, one of them is delightfully evil, the other is just a big prat. Now, anyway, we must move on to the third and final person who we are going to torment but not kill. So, Mr. Heslop, which particular person have you arbitrarily chosen to victimize?
Well, I was a bit torn between two. I couldn't decide and was very close to saying it was going to be Mr. Blobby. But I've chosen Kevin Bacon.
Are they not the same person?
Apparently not.
This is most strange. I was always of the impression... No, that wasn't Mr. Blobby I was thinking of. Anyway, Mr. Heslop, so why in particular does Mr. Bacon get your goat? That's a yes.
Well,
yeah.
Recently I've been to a similar twice in the past month. And at the start of each one, I have seen Kevin Bacon talking about himself in the third person. In one, he was talking to multiple versions of himself, and all of them were referring to themselves in the third person. And it frankly aggravated me. He's not evil enough to warrant being able to refer to himself in the third person.
I like this idea. I could adopt the third person. I might do that for the remainder of the episode. Adopt the third person evil reference system, as portrayed by Mr. Heslop here. So we are considering that perhaps you might like to actually tell us the plan to drive Mr. Bacon around the twist. A bacon twist, if you like.
Well, it's going to be quite simple, actually.
Oh, quite simple. We like simple plans. They have the least things to go wrong and the most people dying.
I'm going to merely sit him down in front of the TV and make him watch everything he's ever been in while sat there beside him going, does Mr. Bacon like this? Over and over and over again until Mr. Bacon doesn't like this.
I think that would be shortly after the first appearance on screen. No, I think your fine brand of particular sarcasm there is a particularly exquisite piece of improvisation. I think I would agree that he is perhaps over-focused. I'm aware he has a bacon number. I don't know whether you're aware of this concept. I can see a couple of you nodding there. Now, bacon number, of course, traditionally refers to the thickness of bacon rind. However, in this case, it has been appropriated in rather an inappropriate sense to refer to the man himself, although not necessarily his thickness. Right, so I see Mr. Pritchard, I believe, has a comment to make on your evil plot.
Just because I want to test out your research here, what is Mr. Blobby's bacon number?
Apparently, Mr. Blobby's bacon number is a 5.6.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you make the links that would lead us to that bacon number?
I'll be honest.
Who is the 0.6?
Yeah, I've got an issue with the 0.6 because if it's in people, how do you have 0.6 of a person?
It's Nicholas Sarkozy. It's just a very short man.
The 0.6, it's a very little known fact that animals don't have a full number. They're not worth it.
That's rather a contentious one.
And there is a link in that, which is a rather disturbed goat, apparently called Jackson.
I think that the goat called Jackson is perhaps where we should end this particular debate for fear of being taken off air. Mr. Pritchard seems to have collapsed. I'm just sending the evil medics to pseudo-revive him now. And yes, that's it. He's back up and running. We've replaced his heart with an artificial organ. All of his legs have been replaced. And he is now back in business. So at the end of that round, the arbitrarily given scores are Mr. Heslop has 2, Mr. Davies has 3, and Mr. Pritchard also has 3. Now, our second round. It is, as we all know, a well-known fact that the little things in life are the most annoying. And so I have called upon our plotters to come up with small modifications to everyday objects that render them either supremely annoying or entirely superfluous. For example, the modification of the fork and the spoon into the spork. A completely superfluous and rather annoying invention. Or, to use a particularly superfluous one, the addition of flavouring to alcohols in student bars. Particularly superfluous. Right. So, I'm going to call upon first Mr. Heslop. What was your minor modification to an everyday object?
Well, it's quite simple, actually. It's a red postbox, one you find on the streets everywhere, but it's got a shredder inside. So you post your letter in, and it just goes straight through the shredder and never seen again.
Much like actually being lost in the Royal Mail, only bypassing the middleman, I suppose. I rather like it. Now, so this shredder, I mean, is it a cross-cut shredder or just a strip shredder?
Cross-cut.
That's not as exciting as it sounds either. No, a cross-cut. Okay, so it's going to be properly destroyed. I like this. I mean, this could help the government when they're posting off secret documents all over the world, I have to say. Lot less chance of them being lost.
And the other thing is you don't put this inside every postbox. So some postboxes are absolutely fine, and people have to just try and work out which ones are which.
Yes, would it be possible to retrofit it to some of perhaps the older post boxes? Because I know some of them. It would, even the old cast iron ones. That's rather nice. Now, do we have any comment from our other two panelists on this? What is undoubtedly a fine idea.
Were you ever harmed, like, by a letter in some way? Have you had some sort of disturbing experience where you must now avenge yourselves on the postal service or system?
Yes.
Yes, he's had letters received late.
Yes.
That's usually why people want revenge on the postal service.
His bills from the evil loans company.
Yes, we've all been there.
They sent my the DVD I ordered via My Evil Little Pony DVD. It didn't arrive for
A triumph,
4
the
weeks.
Guardian.
I was rather upset.
Starring Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
How did you know?
Particularly infuriating, that particular one. Mr. Davies, do you have any comment on this?
Well, my thoughts are surely the only people who still send letters on a regular basis are grumpy old men complaining about things. So
Yes,
surely...
I would point out that I'm a frequent utiliser of the Royal Mail system. I should watch your tongue, otherwise the trapdoor under your chair will open.
I'm currently bracing for that. But I was just wondering, with the amount of complaints being sent via letters, would this not be actually helpful for people who would be receiving these annoying letters?
You're suggesting counterproductivity. That's an
yes.
interesting argument. I have to say, Alain de Botton would be very proud of you with that lateral thinking. Any response?
Yes. Well, that would be the case. Just think about all the grumpy old men who'd get even more angry. Take it out on everyone else. Think of all the postcards which would not arrive. Think of all the love letters forever lost. The birthday cards with money in.
They never arrive anyway.
Precisely.
Right.
But this time, the post service can't get them and keep it. So they get angry as well.
Indeed. I like this. Right, we are now going to go over to Mr. Davies. What is your particular idea du jour?
Well, my modification is based on a normal household chore, to be honest. Nobody likes hoovering, unless somebody might like hoovering.
Freddie Mercury did.
He likes hoovering, but yes,
He's
let's not go
dead
into
now, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't
That's what
matter.
everyone thinks. Carry on.
Good. Well, my idea is to modify the vacuum cleaner. As you all know, you go around hoovering up, and then at the end you have the little bucket that you pull out and put into the bin.
Indeed.
My idea is to drill a small hole in the bottom of the bucket. So when you use it, you're in a continuous loop, really.
Ah, yes, the regular dumping of dust on the floor. We've all been there. Right, so this modification, if I might ask a question myself of this, would it... How big are we talking a hole? I mean, if you've got, for example, a giant spider you've sucked up there, is that spider going to then be stuck in the bucket forever?
If the spider survives the initial sort of like whirring of the dust, I believe it deserves a good chance to get out of the bucket. So it should be big enough for a large spider. Talking like black widow, tarantula, that should be able to get out.
Excellent. And what about kittens?
Kitten, I believe they can't get out, but if you push hard enough, you will get some of it out.
I like the sum of it out idea. I would hope for legs myself. Anyway, perhaps we should move on. Mr. Pritchard, what is your thoughts on this most excellent Hoover dumper?
I think it's quite a good idea. I like the idea that a spider can go through and have the chance to get out, and then not only you've got to deal with redoing the hoovering because of the dust trail, but you've also got an angry spider waiting in the wings somewhere, looking to seek revenge.
I think I've played that on my iPodular device. Angry spiders in hoovers. Rather a good one.
I'd also like to propose, that Sam's evil villain name could be the Dust Mite.
The dust mite.
It's better than the dust bunny, I suppose.
Back
my original.
Back when I started out, when I was at the very first evil convention I went to, there was somebody called the Dust Mote there. I mean, he was very small, and he in fact was the only person who ever got sucked up a Hoover. He didn't last long after that, I have to say. He was fairly easy to crush. Anyway, Mr. Heslop, perhaps you've got a comment.
Yes. Would it just be one hole in it? Because as we know, there are some people who, as much as we'd like them to be complete fools, would have the common sense to block the hole.
Well, like you get in every nightclub, person willing to do that, I believe it's probably best if you extend the range. So you don't just have one hole in the bucket of the Hoover, but you also put a hole in a spoon and various other household appliances.
Excuse me, Mr. Pritchard seems to be casting some sort of incantation over there.
Nightclub what? Nightclub bucket? What? I'm so confused. What is that?
You've been to Octagon, you know what it was like. It was a right old nightclub bucket.
Mr. Heslop was just asking me that couldn't someone possibly just block the hole, and I said, like in a nightclub, it is probably a good idea to have multiple options.
Indeed, it is always a good idea to block your hole in nightclubs. Right, Mr. Pritchard, perhaps... Sorry. I want to do that one again, because that was a good one. But I'm going to try not to laugh on this one. Right. Of course, it is always a wise idea to block your...
I kind of want this one to really get voted in. Block your hole.
Right.
I don't think I've ever had my hole blocked in a nightclub, it has to be said.
Yeah,
I did once, it was an evil experience.
Anyway. Right. This is probably going to take about 15 takes, but I will get this done eventually.
Okay.
Right. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it is always advisable for you to block your hole in nightclubs. Now, Mr. Pritchard, we come on to your tiny modification to an everyday item. What have you got for us today?
Well, what I've got is a slight change to a bean bag, so that when anybody goes to sit on said bean bag, it turns into concrete, which, as we know, is rather more uncomfortable than a bean bag. And also much colder. So, yeah, this is my little change just to kind of see the surprise on people. Say, oh, lovely beanbag, just gonna jump down into, concrete.
Into our concrete, indeed. A very special type of concrete, our concrete. We like it.
TM.
TM. He's beaten blue circle to it. Now, right, we've... Stop it! It's not funny. Well, it is, but it isn't.
It was him that time.
It's pretty at the same time.
He's already trademarked it and beaten blue circle to it. Right. Any comments from the floor or the seats? I mean, you can sit up if you want.
I'm wondering, the design of this beanbag, is it much like a custard when you apply pressure to it quickly, it goes hard, or would these be like individual beans of concrete that when together it's just kind of not that nice?
These it'd be similar to the custard thing. So, because you've got to, somebody's got to look at it, maybe to give it a bit of a poke. They've got to go, oh, yeah, it's normal beanbag. But it's then the actual sitting down
So it's
that
the impact.
causes a surprise, the impact.
We need a non-Newtonian concrete. This is going to be interesting. Well, you've already developed it, evidently. Yes, I mean, I'm quite a fan of bean bags myself. They're particularly useful for smothering people. I mean, I'm quite keen on this idea, though. I like it because you get a significant amount of broken coccyxes, which is very painful. I can vouch personally for this.
As you know, I've been locked in a superhero battle with, Coccyx Man for years. And
You have.
This is the way I see of destroying him.
Yes.
I did. My other evil plan to plug his hole in a nightclub didn't work. So now I'm going on to concrete beanbags.
Yes, admittedly, Coccyx man's great power of being able to extend his coccyx by almost an inch was hardly a useful one. Certainly in the final comfort of bugger.
It's like Wolverine gone wrong. X-rated X-Men.
It's his coccyx, not his cock.
How would you find out you could extend your coccyx? At what point would you find that out in life?
It's easier than you think.
What's the coccyx?
It's the tailbone.
you just try and sit down and go, oh, no.
Just lifts you back off your chair.
I'm on a stilt, ladies and gentlemen. What? I've got a monopodular arse.
What would happen if you put in a pencil sharpener?
Anyways.
I just love the fact that when I go through all the pilots, I always get so many little outtakes.
Anyway.
What do you mean what would happen if you put a pencil sharpener in your arse, Sam? The same thing that would happen if you didn't have a big coccyx and you put a pencil sharpener in your arse. You'd have a pencil sharpener in your arse.
I didn't say in the arse, I said on the cock.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm just saying you become like a stingray man. I killed Steve Irwin.
Go on.
With my coccyx.
Let's get back to this because my voice is gonna change so much in a minute.
Oh, right.
Right. I was on the coccyx gag, wasn't I?
Yeah. The coccyx gag? For the coccyx that says too much.
You don't want to know where it speaks from.
Anyway, back to recording. Well, back to proper recording. Of course, Coccyx man's major power of being able to extend his coccyx by a few inches just at any battle point didn't prove very useful in the final confrontation. Are there any further comments on Mr. Pritchard's device, or can we move on to our... Oh no, I think we have a comment here from Mr. Heslop.
Just a bit of a query, seeing as it's trademarked. What colours do they come in?
We got an assortment of evil colours. We've got blood red.
Vitriol violet, I hope. I always like vitriol violet.
Naturally vitriol violet.
Naturally vitriol violet. That's even nicer.
Yeah, you see. We even have a range of environmentally friendly options.
Eco-friendly ones. The ones that absorb the sea, you mean?
I think that the eco-friendly evildoers are an under-publicised brand of evildoer.
What about the energy wasting? Do you have any of those?
Energy wasting. Well, it's in development at the moment, It's a difficult concept in the first place, so we're still getting to grips with a few things, but we'll get there.
I would point out that, in fact, beanbags do not use all that much energy in the first place, unless they're electric beanbags, which we use in some of the chambers.
If you've ever tried to step up from a beanbag, you'll realise how much energy you need to get off it.
I always have somebody pick me up. Anyway, right. We move now on to our third round. Evil inventions are, of course, the bread and butter of our little mastermind community. And one of the finest triumphs of all genius came in 2002 when an American inventor released his product, a delightfully evil-sounding product, which ruined life for millions. Yes, it was in fact the dawning of the Age of Corn. Our panelists have come up with inventions which should match the Age of Corn for sheer villainy and evil doing. We're going to start with Mr. Pritchard. If you could give your great invention, please.
Well, my great invention is quite incredible. It's something that will convert all of the water in the world into time-traveling water. Because, a lot of things need to, take on water in order to survive. And this would mean that anything that drank the water would actually time travel to a random point in history. Which, the consequences of this are twofold. Number one, you could, one day just, go, a bit thirsty, go for a glass of water, and, bam, 1066, Battle of Hastings. That'd be pretty terrifying. But also think about this. Humans aren't the only things to drink water. They're also animals. So, you could be, say, walking down the street in Bangor, having a nice day. Boom, rhino. Or boom, velociraptor. anything
boom
could happen.
Velociraptor. I like boom velociraptors. Well, if you're having velociraptors, of course, this has to be retroactive time-traveling water, which
Naturally.
naturally, quite. Don't be that cheeky again. Anyway, right. Do not laugh at me. Now, we have retroactive time-traveling water. Anyone else got anything to say on the subject?
Just a technical question. With my knowledge of time travel, how would you manage to insert a flux capacitor into the water systems?
This is going to be done on a sort of microscopic, even atomic level.
Oh.
So you see, everything would have a small flux capacitor in it. So all the water would have that. So it would have that potential anywhere. So,
I'm quite concerned by this theory. Now, I've heard this. You see, human beings, we are always being told, are 76% water. And I'm not sure I want my flux capacited by anything. Now, I understand that this may only be a minor consideration, but I think it's one that merits investigation.
Yes, I have to agree. With my research into biology and all things evil, it makes me wonder, is it each single particle? So if you drank, say, 10 particles of water, would that send you in 10 different places? Would that separate you?
well, I mean, you know, the science is still at this, but let's say the science is still in the research element. But I don't know. That would create a slightly more disturbing world if it could send different parts of you to different places. If you're walking down the street and it was boom leg or boom, you know, Harold's eye or something like that. So. You know, I think it could work. It depends how evil do you want to go. I think that's pretty. You're getting to a large extent of evil there to just have body parts flying around.
I'm
Two and a half men gets more interesting.
I'm sorry. Harold's eye.
Yeah.
What's Harold ever done to you? I think Harold's a lovely guy.
Well,
You'll have to forgive Mr. Pritchard. He does have rather an obsession with the Battle of Hastings. In one of his early experiments, he in fact had to flee from the Battle of Hastings with a housecarl's axe jammed up his yes. So I think we will move on to the next great invention. Mr. Heslop, what is your great development for us?
Well, mine is a computer virus that will infect all computers and remove all the fonts in the world, bar Wingdings.
Ah, yes, Wingdings, that wonderful pictorial representation. Eagle stick foot to you, sir. Eagle stick foot. Now, this idea, of course, we have already had one computer virus. You'll have to forgive me, the panel this day seems rather to be computer literate, which is rather unfortunate. I always prefer working on paper myself. Mr. Davies, you proposed the first computer virus. Would you perhaps like to make a comment on the utility of this one?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I believe that is a great evil scheme because, as you say, most of the world is now computer literate. With only having Wingdings, that would mean you could do virtually nothing, which then makes you... that makes you the leading expert in handwriting. Which...
I'm already the leading expert in everything, I think you'll find.
I will.
But I understand what you're saying. I mean, I know that that certainly productivity in the world, and in this time of financial crisis, it is particularly desirable to stop productivity entirely. I mean, who doesn't like a good recession? Right, Mr. Pritchard, would you have a comment on this?
well, I'm all for this plan because I actually speak fluent Wingdings. So, you know, I'm okay. I actually wrote an essay the other day and wrote some of it in Wingdings, and I can translate that for you. What it actually said was, Dear Mr. Examiner, I have at this point given up and am spontaneously hitting the keyboard and using Wingdings to fill out my word count.
Indeed.
I got an A, so, you know.
Bearing in mind this is Bangor University, that's entirely possible. Right, now... so I think this plan seems to have garnered the most support amongst our panelists so far. It certainly seems to be generally approved. and I'm sure General Lee Approve will also join us. So, Mr. Davis, what is your evil invention?
My evil invention is a heat ray that heats items up to exactly 1064 Celsius, the melting point of gold. The idea behind this is just to aim it at any Federal Reserve of your choosing and melt their gold supply. It's not to make a profit, it is purely just to upset the system.
Purely for irritation's sake.
Irritating.
Yeah, same reason I have a stone in my shoe every day. Right, so we're going to melt all the gold in the world. Now, this sea of gold, where's it going to go?
At the moment on the floor, or if you have a lead bucket, I'm sure you can pick some up.
Mr. Pritchard, your face tells me that you have some boringly inane comment to make.
Thank you. I just think, won't they still have the same amount of gold? If you're actually going to take it, they've still technically got the same gold. It's just now kind of in floor form.
Yes,
the man
but
has a point.
who's going to clean it up? Because I'm not going to clean it up. Are you guys going to do it? I don't plan on cleaning it up, so if they're going to invest in someone to scrape the gold off their floor, then they are more than welcome to do that, but it's just going to delay them.
I don't clean, I have you lot to do that for me. Yes, scraping the gold up off the floor is indeed, I mean, it would be very irritating, I have to say, rather like listening to Sue Barker commenting on Wimbledon. Now, so perhaps, Mr. Heslop, do you have any comment to make on this particular? Perhaps, I know you have a lot of cleaning experience. You're rather like George Formby. You've spent a lot of time cleaning windows. Now, perhaps you could help develop this idea a little.
Yes, I can. It may be worth. Please do not take this as an insult. I'm merely making.
I'm
a
ready to zap
suggestion
you.
Here. It's okay. I have my mirror suit on right now, so we're all fine.
And no gold on his person.
That as well. But perhaps making it not to the point where gold melts, but increasing it to the point where the gold both melts and then evaporates.
I see your point. That would be, but then you've just got gold on the roof, which would be equally as annoying, but easier to chip away at the roof than the floor if you wanted just gold.
That's not necessarily the point, because most banks have air systems that get filtered through the air system and thus into the atmosphere, to which the gold would then condense and just fall like bullets from the sky, killing people.
So not only killing people, eliminating the gold, but you're also destroying the bank's ventilation systems.
Yes.
Now that would be a nuisance. They're always bloody hot banks. Anyway, Mr. Pritchard, you were waving.
It's quite sort of Darwinian almost. Apart from, instead
Everything.
of survival of the fittest, it's survival of those with shelter. But those who survive will also be filthy rich because they can just harvest the gold after the rain shower of the gold, and off they go. You're just upsetting the balance, aren't you? There.
Yes,
That's the system.
I agree. I mean, I'm seeing one very, very big problem with this. And that, of course, now 95% of the world's gold is now stored, of course, in Argos as chav gold, or 9 carat as it's known. So would it work on that? I mean, that's an alloy. Well, it's not an alloy, but it's not pure gold. I mean, so would you be able to, say, point it at a frequenter of the Jeremy Kyle show and watch their neck be bound with a chain of molten gold? Oh, let's just pause and enjoy that image for a second, shall we? Yes. No, so would that work, do you think?
I'm not entirely sure of the positive effects if someone's wearing it, but I'm sure if we're using the evaporation technique, if they are to ingest it through breathing, that they won't be getting up off the stage.
Not to mention the steam burns they would get from it.
Glorious steam burns.
Indeed. You see, I think we've got a fine selection there. I'll certainly be passing at least a few of those down to the R&D department. I know their budget has been rather cut ever since the great theft, but I will be passing it on and instructing them to balance their budget sheets. And now we come, ladies and gentlemen, to our final round, the grand plan. Now, everybody loves cute little animals, right? Well, not people who live in volcanic lairs. One of my former minions once suggested that our evil organisation should steal all the kittens in London to reduce the pleasure given by them. It was a very nice plan, and when executed was quite lovely. But of course, having 15 million kittens loose in your base is not good for the old evil image. They used to call me at the convention that year the Care Bear of the evil genius community. Now, this week, our plotters are due to provide me with another grand plan, which has been carefully hammered out over the body of a dead puppy. Now, so perhaps you would like to tell us what it is, my dear fellows? Or not? Could somebody start?
Yes, our grand plan is to ruin zoos.
To ruin zoos. Right, well, I always find zoos rather disappointing anyway, because there's not enough killing. But perhaps you could explain how on earth it is you mean to ruin zoos for people.
Our plan is to invert the zoo process so that when people arrive at the zoo, they are in paddocks and the animals walk around looking at the different people.
We are essentially recreating Big Brother.
Ah.
Which
Now-
is the other reason for why we're going to train Davina McCall to be a better presenter.
Ah.
Bear baiting.
Yes, I can see it now. So these animals that are walking around, what sort of animals are going to be allowed into these zoos, or is it just going to be a massive free-for-all?
We'd prefer a free-for-all, but we believe a lot of cats, being the most curious of all animals, will probably come, therefore freeing your base.
And therefore die. Yes, I'm liking your peripheral plan, I have to say, of getting rid of the cats. Now, there are, of course, many different things that are expected by people in zoos. So how on earth are we going to ruin zoos? Are we going to have the ice cream stands, perhaps? Are they going to be in the paddocks for the people to enjoy? Or are they going to be outside the paddocks?
I think they wouldn't be required anymore at all. Because that's generally there as a concession for the humans themselves. But if they're going to be fair, you don't want to see the humans being happy. The monkeys won't want that. They just want to throw their crap at them and move on.
Yes.
With ice cream, it's just a waste of money. And just remember, it'd be very evil to not have it because it makes the humans a lot more upset.
But in the words of our glorious Bane, don't people need hope, therefore to be in despair?
Yes.
So-
Yes.
If we gave them ice cream, that would lift them up purely for us to beat them back down again.
Certainly,
By being out of chocolate and vanilla.
Certainly when they're in despair of paddocks, they would be struggling for hope. Now, perhaps, Mr. Heslop, you had a comment to make, I believe. He's nibbling away at his paddock over there. Yes, you have to understand, we have already instituted this in the recording studio. I am the only one who is not paddocked. And currently, Mr. Pritchard is currently undergoing a barrage of popcorn being thrown at him by a rather over-enthusiastic deer. And there are other problems, I have to say, with this idea. I mean, this elephant we've got in the recording studio really is rather large. And I'm afraid... it's making it rather difficult for us to sleep, which, given that we're supposed to be recording a radio show, is probably a damn good thing. Now, I think this plan has legs. 4 of them for the case of most animals, 5 in the case of an ant which has had a leg pulled off, and 6 in the case of other insects. So I think this plan has legs. I think it's worth investigating further. I'm not sure I'm going to go so far as to say that we're actually going to do it. Who's the evil genius here? Just remember.
You.
Thank you. Right. Now, I think I'm having looks of sheer hatred from my panel. So I think it is time that we left you for another week so that I can go and... re-educate them in my chamber of pain. So, the looks are now of terror. And as the looks turn to terror, or joy in Paddy's case, we find ourselves leaving you once more. So thank you very much for joining us from the heart of our evil lair. This has been Lord Scott's Plots, starring Matthew Heslop, Paddy Pritchard, and Sam Davies. The winner this week, of course, was me. The arbitrary points were divided up as follows. Mr. Heslop had 6. Mr. Davies had 10. And Mr. Pritchard had 11. Thank you for listening. Keep evil.
We've been watching you right now, so we said, I'm the winner.
We both looked at each other like,
My God, that was wow.
It's a fun man. I didn't even notice you writing them till halfway through. Which I'm just saying.
This never leaves the studio.
well, I thought Lord Scott's Plots worked rather well.
No, it was good fun.
entertaining.
Oh dear.
Right.
Oh.
Again, I want that one to win.